There's nothing fishy about the Angels lineup. Future All-Star Tim Salmon is rocking opposing pitchers, putting up the best early numbers of his career. The Blue Jays are in the thick of it. Shannon Stewart has Toronto fans stealing glances at a division race, while Carlos Delgado swings for the fences. East meets West. The Blue Jays and the Angels, and the return of Big Mo. Fox Sportsnet welcomes you to the SkyDome in Toronto, Ontario, Canada, for the finale of this three-game series between the high-flying Blue Jays and the Anaheim Angels. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Baseball Thursday. Kenny Albert along with Jeff Torborg. The Blue Jays have won the first two games of this series, 5-1 on Tuesday and 3-2 last night. As we check out tonight's headlines, Blue Jays 7 consecutive victories, all here at home, and they have outscored their opponents by more than a 2-1 margin. No fewer than 8 Angels are on the disabled list, including Jim Edmonds and Gary DiSarcina. However, Mo Vaughn, who was injured opening day, will return tonight. He will bat third and will be the designated hitter for Terry Collins' club. Mo Vaughn is standing by with Jeff Torborg.
Mo Vaughn, the story tonight. You've been sitting out. I watched that accident, falling down those steps in the dugout. How's the ankle?
Well, it's pretty good. It's made gradual process over the last couple of weeks. I'm all taped up. I got a little bit of a cast on me right now, but you know, you're gonna play with some pain, but it's something that's improving gradually, and then I'm glad to be out here now.
Well, knowing you for a long time, you can't stand sitting around. And even with the severity of the injury, I'd like to know how you convinced Terry. I know the club's struggling. I know you want to help. How did you convince Terry to be in the lineup tonight? I
just told him that I wanted to play, and you know, he talked it over with me, and I think, you know, it's just one of those things that, you know, being a veteran now, I know how to play through some things and understand what it's got to be, and you're not going to be 100%, you know, all the time. So I just want to get up there and take some pressure off some people and let them get back to their normal slots and do the things we're capable of, and I'm glad to be starting right now.
Big man with a big contract should provide a big boost to the Anaheim Angels as Mo Vaughn's club takes on the Toronto Blue Jays and their young star, Sean Green. Back in Toronto, Mo Vaughn off the DL today for the Anaheim Angels, who have lost 4 consecutive games. This the third of a 6-game road trip. Angels at 6 up and 9 down. The Angels batting order brought to you by Zima. Darren Erstad will lead things off, the first baseman, followed by left fielder Orlando Palmeiro. The DH Vaughn will bat third, followed by Tim Salmon in the cleanup spot, batting .404. Troy Gloss, the third baseman, Garrett Anderson in center field. Todd Green behind the plate, Randy Velarde at second base, and the shortstop for the Angels tonight, Jeff Hewson.
And the pitcher we're seeing this evening, Pat Henkin, who as recently as '96 was a Cy Young Award winner, not throwing the ball as well lately. Had an arm problem last year. Throws a 4-seam fastball, meaning it's a straight fastball, more up in the strike zone. In the past, has touched 92, 93. He's having trouble with that right now, but he throws a cutter in on left-handed hitters, straight down curveball, a circle change. Good athlete, very good fielder. He's quick to the plate.
Henkin 7-4 lifetime against the Angels. He's 0-1 in 3 starts this year, his 8th season with the Blue Jays.
You know, it's interesting watching him warm up, thinking about the catcher that he was so successful with in 1996. He's over on the other side of the field with the Angels, Charlie O'Brien.
And there is Henkin's battery mate tonight, Darren Fletcher. As we take a look at the Blue Jays in the field, Delgado, Kelly, Gonzalez, and Fernandez, with Stewart, Cruz, and Sean Green in right. Blue Jays have won the first 2 games of this series, 5-1 on Tuesday, 3-2 last night, as Darren Erstad steps in for the Anaheim Angels. Erstad lifetime against Henkin, only 1 for 12 with 4 strikeouts. And he takes the first pitch high and outside for ball one. The umpires tonight, Rick Reed is behind the plate. Al Clark down at first base, Larry Young at second, and Tim Chishita is the third base umpire. The 1-0 from Henkin, and a strike called by Rick Reed. 1-1.
As you watch Henkin deliver, he's a very simple delivery type of guy. Doesn't do a lot of whirling dervish type of actions with his hands. Keeps his hands together, makes a turn. Here's his turn. Now he comes to the plate.
Popped up, foul territory. 1-2.
A lot of pitchers who have an abbreviated delivery or certain parts of the delivery is shortened. That has really been done in the past to try to get them more accurate with their control. Henkin, of course, having elbow problems a year ago in spring training, and then by the end of last season had shoulder trouble. They're hoping he's getting back to the form that he once had, but he's piled a lot of innings on in the last couple of years. Over 260 innings going into last season, and it might have taken its toll a little.
Strike three call. So the leadoff man Erstad heads back to the Angels dugout. Henkin has had problems early in his last two starts, Jeff. He's allowed 6 first-inning runs.
Well, you can see why he has problems if he gets behind. He's had a little problem with his control, but that was outstanding selection of pitches, and he finished them off with a straight downer curveball.
Here's Orlando Palmeiro, the left fielder, and he takes ball one. Palmeiro with 3 consecutive 2-hit games. 6 hits his last 3 games. 1-1. Also hit his first major league home run in 5 years this month.
Well, you know, this guy's a good player. He can run well. He's a line drive hitter, not a lot of power. But he's doing right now what he's done throughout his career. He makes the pitchers work deep into the count. We talked about in the scouting report that Pat Henkin has a 4-seam fastball, and he's up in the strike zone. Obviously, with Palmeiro, he is. There he is. Walks him on 4 pitches. Now, he got the leadoff hitter, which you really need to do, but not even to come close, and the next 4 bothered you. And one of the things pitchers do very often is when they lose their control, they're rushing and overthrowing at the same time. You see, Mel Queen is just to Jim Fragosi's left. He's the pitching coach, and Fragosi's looking at him like saying, what happened? 4 pitches in a row, and Queen gives the signs to the catcher, telling whether they want him to step off or throw over type of sign.
And this the moment Angel fans have been waiting for since opening day as Mo Vaughn returns and drills this one to deep right center on the first pitch he has seen since opening day. His first home run as an Angel.
Unbelievable. The great ones do that. The great ones that I've been around have the ability to rise to an occasion. Now here Mo Vaughn, that's the first swing he's taken, and he crushes the ball to center field. Talk about leadership. That's pretty good leadership right there. Watch this. This is that fastball we were talking about. Here's the ball right down the middle. Look at Mo Vaughn right on the ball. Doesn't try to do too much. Takes it straight away. Remember, you hit with your legs also, and to have a twisted ankle makes it difficult to hit. Well, he certainly was balanced on that one.
Tim Salmon takes strike 1. So for Vaughn, his first hit as an Angel, his first home run as an Angel. He was 0 for 2 opening day. And then the much publicized ankle injury, which you saw moments ago. High pop-up. And it will be handled by the catcher, Darren Fletcher. Well, we mentioned Henkin's first inning problems. Jeff, that is now 8 first-inning runs in his last 3 starts, including a home run in the first inning in each of the last 3 games.
Well, you know, sometimes you have to question the pitch selection a little bit. He had missed on 4 straight fastballs, and here comes Mo Vaughn. You know he's up there cranking, and they went after him with a straight fastball. Why not throw a breaking ball to try to get your command together? Easy for me to say after the ball goes out of the ballpark, but one of the things you're concerned about is, what do you think a great hitter like Mo Vaughn's thinking about? Hey, they just walked the guy in front of me on 4 pitches. I'm going to sit there and look for that straight fastball. They might be trying to get ahead of me.
1-1 now on Troy Gloss. In his second season out of UCLA, batting .382, 9th in the American League. He's 6th in hits with 21. And he drills this one into left field to the wall. Gloss heading into second with a stand-up double. His 12th two-base hit. He leads the American League now with 12 doubles in only 16 games.
This guy's a heck of a player, Kenny. He's 6'5". You don't find that many great big third basemen. This kid came up with great potential tag on him. And look at this ball. This ball is in the middle of the plate again. These are straight fastballs in the middle of the plate without a lot of pop. Maybe 87, 88 miles an hour. And that's very hittable. And Troy Gloss is going to be some player before it's over.
So 2 outs. Gloss on second. Here's Garrett Anderson, the center fielder who homered last night, his second of the year, batting .302. So a 2-0 first inning lead for the Angels on the 2-run shot off the bat of Mo Vaughn on the first pitch he's seen in a game since opening day. Popped up, shallow center. Cruz, and that will do it for the Angels first, but not before Big Mo goes deep. Hits first as an Angel. Two-0 lead for the Angels as we move to the bottom of the first. And the Blue Jays batting order brought to you by Zima. Blue Jays at 11-4, tied with Cleveland, most victories in baseball. Shannon Stewart, second in the American League in runs, will lead things off, followed by Jose Cruz Jr., Sean Green in right, Carlos Delgado in the cleanup spot. Tony Fernandez will bat fifth. Willie Green with a 2-run homer last night, the designated hitter. The catcher Darren Fletcher bats seventh. Shortstop Alex Gonzalez is eighth. And the second baseman, the newest Blue Jay, coming over from the Cardinals organization, is Pat Kelly.
Kenny, the big right-hander, 37 years old. Tim Belcher, 6'3", 225, can throw anything and everything, and does. 4-seam fastball up in the zone, 2-seam sinker, throws a slider, a cutter, a split finger. Very good fielder. Has a good move to first base. He does not throw as hard as he once did. But he knows how to pitch. He's a warrior. It'll take him a little while to get the feel of what pitch is most effective, and then he'll go to it.
Belcher's 13th major league season, first with the Angels. Todd Green behind the plate. Around the infield, Erstad, Velarde, Houston, and Gloss. Palmeiro, Anderson, and Savin. As Shannon Stewart steps in against Belcher and takes ball one. Stewart, 3 hits last night. He was 3 for 4, raising the average to .373. He is also tied for the American League lead with 8 stolen bases. Foul down the left field line. 1-1 on Stewart.
You know, watching Belcher work, many years ago, I scouted him for the Yankees in a gymnasium around Columbus, Ohio, in a snowstorm, and we went and signed him, and then he was taken immediately 4 days later by Oakland in a different type of draft. But this guy is your classic drop-in driver. Watch him drop on his right leg.
2-1.
And what I mean by that is guys that work with power when they're young use the back leg, and he'll take this area here and drop it down. Look how he moves down. Nolan Ryan, Tom Seaver pitched that way.
Now 3-1 on Stewart.
But he's big and strong in the upper legs, and he does not power the ball like he once did, but he still is a drop and drive pitcher.
He's hit it to left center, so the Blue Jays have the leadoff man on. Stewart going for 2, and he's in.
Boy, how exciting is a player at the front end of your order that hits a ground ball through the infield and then beats it out to second base. This guy can play. He is an exciting player. 51 stolen bases last year. When you have a guy at the top of your lineup doing this is exciting. Here's the pitch from Belcher. You see it's in the middle of the plate. Ground ball through towards second base. Never slowed down. This kid came around that base with it in mind that he was going to go to second. For young kids out there watching, any good base runner comes around first base no matter when they get a base hit, thinking they're going to second, and then put the brakes on.
You saw the graphic, his first double of the season, as as Jose Cruz bunts down the third base line and moves Stewart over to third.
Now, some people will say, well, with the number 2 man in your order, why would you do this in the first inning? Because you're down 2 runs. It's because you'll take 1 an inning if you can get it. By moving this man over, now there are many more ways of scoring him from third base than there would have from second base. And when a guy goes in the dugout and gets congratulated when he goes in the dugout for putting down a bunt, it shows that they're thinking in a team concept to play inside little baseball.
So 1 out. Stewart down at third as Sean Green takes a strike. Green, a 30-30 man last year. This year, despite the .303 batting average, with runners in scoring position, Green is only 2 for 20. And there is Stewart down at third base. 0-2 on Green.
Sean Green's one of these hitters. He's long and lean, but boy, can he hit the ball, especially down in the strike zone. Now, he took a strike on the inside part of the plate to start it on a fastball, and then that last split finger, the bottom fell out of. I don't think if they go with a fastball at all, it'll be right at his letters.
The 0-2 from Belcher. Now 1-2.
Boy, what a year he had last year. He put it all together. It's amazing how experience helps a guy. He learns the pitcher. He learns that he's a better player than he thought he was when he first got there, and then he starts doing things he never thought capable of.
And there's a base hit into right field, scoring Stewart. So Cruz bunted Stewart down to third, and he scores on Sean Green's 9th RBI of the year. So the Blue Jays have cut the Angels' lead in half.
Well, we were talking about the fact that he likes the ball down. Watch where the ball is. Down in the strike zone. Nice swing. Head stayed down. That just was not a good pitch. Tim Belcher was up in the count. Did not want the pitch there. He either wanted it almost bouncing or up in the hands. And that's what he's probably just saying right now to his catcher. Hey, I know. I didn't want that pitch there. Well, here's a guy who's what they call in the game a cripple shooter. This guy does not miss a mistake pitch in the middle of the plate. He can really hit for power.
Carlos Delgado, who has 23 runs batted in, third in the American League behind only Manny Ramirez and Tim Salmon of the Angels. Two 2-0 on Delgado. Sean Green down at first base. 1 out in the bottom of the first with the Angels leading 2-1.
Well, we were talking about Delgado. He is really a good hitter with outstanding power, and he also is a high average hitter. He hits a lot of off-speed pitches very well, and a lot of your real good power hitters in the past like off-speed stuff. And you say, well, so what if you're that good a power hitter like a Willie Mays or a Henry Aaron? Well, certainly they must like off-speed pitches. Most good young hitters, when they come to the big league, have gotten to prove that they can hit a fastball. It's the ability to hit an off-speed pitch that puts them above other people.
Belcher over to first. We mentioned Green, 35 homers, 35 steals last year. Just 1 stolen base so far this season.
Well, I think the way this Toronto ball club's swinging the bat, they're not running as much as they might later on, depending on what the scores of games are. And that's a good quick move right there by Belcher. The first move he made was just to get it over there. That last one was a very quick one. But what I'm saying is, if you're Jim Fregosi and you have Delgado who can really crush the ball, and the first baseman has to play on the base with a runner over there, that means there's a hole on that right side. Why run Sean Green with Delgado up? Maybe with the next hitter or the hitter after that, but maybe not with your big power hitter.
And Delgado to deep right field. Salmon back on the warning track waiting, and he makes the catch. Delgado just missed on that one.
Kenny, when you say just missed, every once in a while a player come back to the dugout and say, yeah, I just missed it. Well, this is a fact. Here's the pitch. You see he got under the ball just a hair. because he hit this on a good part of the bat, I believe, but he just is under the ball a little bit. That ball is about waist high, and he missed it.
So 2 outs for Tony Fernandez. Off to a terrific start, batting .360. Working on an 8-game hitting streak. He's 14 for his last 31. And Tony Fernandez, Jeff, the first ever 3-time Toronto Blue Jay.
Tell you, this guy is a special guy, a special person. I had him when I managed the Mets. Didn't know what to think of him because I'd only seen him on the other side of the field. He is very strong, and he has his own work regimen, but he does something. If you can take a look at his hands here, he relaxes his hands at the plate more than any hitter I think I've ever seen.
Inside, 1-0.
He just lays the bat in his hands. Even though he wears these big batting gloves, he just lays it in there. His fingers are barely around, especially with the top hand, around the bat. And he's been a good player his whole career, a sensational young shortstop. But watch how he relaxes his hands. Look how lightly he's holding onto the bat. You don't see many hitters do that. Look at him. They're barely closing his fingers around the bat.
And there's a base hit into center field. Green, big turnaround second, heading towards third. He's in, but Fernandez is thrown out. Down at second. So the inning comes to an end. The Blue Jays score 1 run on 3 hits as Fernandez is tagged out at second. Back at the SkyDome in Toronto, Mo Vaughn with a 2-run shot in the top of the first. In his first game back, first swing, give the Angels the 2-0 lead. Blue Jays put 1 on the board at the bottom of the first. Here's Todd Green, the catcher, coming off a couple of major injuries a year ago. He did not catch at all last year when he did play with the Angels.
They didn't think he'd ever catch again because he had his right shoulder throwing arm operated on. He was a converted infielder. He had played third base, became a catcher, and he had some big home run numbers in the minor leagues. I was watching a game this past week where they had a brawl with Seattle, and he charged them out. And I thought, oh man, a guy with a repaired shoulder, he shouldn't be doing that.
Oh, a diving stop by Gonzalez, but the throw does not beat Green, so an infield hit. Green was suspended for 3 games for that altercation, but appealed the suspension. He will meet with American League officials next time the Angels visit New York.
Well, here's a nice play. Alex Gonzalez makes a nice play. And you see it's a breaking ball, and Todd Green pulls it in the hole. Nice play, but there's not much you can do. You got to get up out of that position and try to make an accurate throw, and his throw was up the line. So Todd Green was safe at first.
0-1 on Randy Velarde, batting .338. Has not had success against Henkin. 2 for 17 with 11 strikeouts in his career against the 30-year-old right-hander. Infield hit for Todd Green to lead off the Angels' second. Green on the move, bounced to the third baseman Fernandez, sidearm throw as Green moves down to second. Time now for a Fox Sportsnet game break at 3Com in San Francisco with the flag at half-mast. Dante Bichette with the Columbine High School logo on his sleeve, and Bichette goes deep. A 2-run homer to left field in the first inning, and the Rockies beat the Giants by the score of 8-5, depriving San Francisco of their 11th win of the year, which would have tied the Giants with the Blue Jays and the Indians. Jeff Hewson batting .154 on the season. Slow roller foul down the first base line. Hewson 2 of 13. This is 9th game of the year.
You know, Kenny, how you've been talking about some of the matchups with the hitters against particular pitchers. Well, Hewson has got a couple doubles against Henkin in the past. I believe he's 2 for 7 against him. And Terry Collins and most managers will look at the books to see if it looks like one of their particular hitters can see the ball. Some hitters say they see the ball off of certain pitchers.
Strike called on Houston. 0-2.
So there are a lot of times if you're not sure about how you want to make your lineup out, you don't know whether on a particular night you want to rest some position player, you sometimes look at your stat book, and if the stat book indicates that somebody who maybe is a regular player doesn't do well against a particular pitcher, that'd be a night to rest him.
This time Henkin ahead in the count. 0-2. Inside, 1 ball, 2 strikes with 1 out, and Todd Green down at second.
You know, we talked about the Angels missing Mo Vaughn. Obviously, he is a key to this ball club, but one of their keys too is Gary DeSarcina, their shortstop, and with his broken arm and his being missing from their defensive position at shortstop, they really are going to have to really work hard.
Strike 3 called. Second strikeout for Pat Henkin. 2 away, and the Angels second.
You're going to have to work hard defensively in order to overcome his loss. Now here is the pitch. We'll see the pitch that Henkin makes to Houston. He paints the outside corner with a fastball. Remember, we were talking about this fastball. Oh, excuse me, that's that hook. I'm sorry, I was thinking he went with a fastball out there, and that was Erstad that he struck out on the curveball. No wonder. I thought it was a fastball to Houston. I know my eyes are going, but I thought difference in a fastball and a curveball is a lot. That was that first inning curveball, but that is the pitch that Henkin, if he can get ahead with his fastball, his put away pitch is that downer curveball plus a slider.
The boys in the truck pulled a fast one on you.
Or a curveball on him.
Yes. So Erstad 0 for 1. 2 balls, no strikes. Todd Green down at second base. Angels leading at 2-1 on the first inning home run off the bat of Mo Vaughn.
You know, it's interesting. They're once through the batting order now. It gives you an idea of what the pitchers are going to have to do. They're going to have to start mixing a lot of off-speed pitches in because neither Belcher or Henkin have been real effective with their fastball. So they're going to have to mix a lot of off-speed pitches in to keep these hitters off balance.
And this one is drilled to right field. No doubt about it. First home run of the season for Erstad. It is now 4-1 Angels.
Well, I thought they would mix in fastballs. They tried to challenge Erstad with a fastball, and the thing that didn't even look like it was a strike. It was above his letters, and he put it into the second tier. That's what I meant about these fastballs. They're very straight, and they're up in the strike zone. You've got to use other pitches. Now, here's the pitch. Watch where it is. Way up there. That thing is up above the Angels. Watch how high it is. Look at where it is.
Strike called on Orlando Palmeiro. 0-1. First of the year for Erstad, who hit 19 homers a year ago. Coming into the game, Jeff, the Blue Jays had allowed a major league low 8 home runs on the season. But the Angels have 2 tonight in 2 innings against Jim Fragosi's club.
Well, you can see he's really frustrated. He said, what is going on here? Now, see, there's a good curveball, and nobody's on it. But he's been continually trying to throw that fastball. We talked about his throwing the ball up in the strike zone because he's got a straight fastball. 1998. He gave up 28 home runs last year. That's the ball that gets it out of the ballpark.
Palmeiro to right field. And the catch is made by Sean Green. But the Angels take a 4-1 lead. Darren Erstad had been one of his last 18 before this. Who hit a 2-run shot last night. His second home run of the year. Former Cincinnati Red who spent part of last year with the Orioles. Strike called. 1-1. We take you back to last night. With the score tied at 1, bottom of the 4th. And Willie Green gives the Blue Jays a 3-1 lead. They would hang on for a 3-2 victory.
You see what that pitch was? You were just talking about golf. I mean, he'd have made any golfer proud of that one. That ball was almost bouncing. Kenny, it's very interesting. When you look at a hitter
and you try to figure out how to get him out. If you see a left-handed hitter with a bat held vertically, you know he's a low ball hitter, and this guy showed it last night.
Here's the 2-2 from Belcher, and Willie Green sits down. First strikeout for Belcher. Well, Jeff, tomorrow on Fox Sports Net, it's more great PGA Tour action as we bring you live second round coverage of the Greater Greensboro Chrysler Classic. Second round coverage continues tomorrow at 4 Eastern, 1 Pacific on Fox Sports Net. Check local listings. Jesper Parnevik is the first round leader at 7 under. And 2 right behind at 6 under par. Here's Darren Fletcher batting .325 in the number 7 slot for the Blue Jays, and he takes a strike. 1-1.
Take a look at this Toronto lineup, and you look at the averages right through the lineup, you can see why they're winning. When your number 7 hitters hitting .325 at the catcher, the shortstop batting 8th hitting .322, 9th place hitters hitting .357. You know you got some offense.
6 of the 9 Blue Jays in the lineup tonight batting over .300 as a team. Blue Jays 3rd in the American League at .293.
Yeah, you know what I like too, I looked at their pitching's 3rd in the league and their fielding's 3rd in the league. That's very consistent play. You win a lot of games with those kind of numbers.
He's hit down the right field line, and Fletcher will hold up at first base, so 1 out single. You talk about the Blue Jays pitching. David Wells has won his first 3 starts. Henkin, of course, has struggled. As we take another look at the base hit off the bat of Fletcher.
Well, this is a very nice play by Tim Salmon in right field. Stayed right on this ball, but here's your open stance. The ball is low and in. He never closes up, just throws ahead of the bat at this, and the ball shoots inside first base. But tremendous play by right fielder Tim Salmon to hold Darren Fletcher to a single on that ball.
Here's Alex Gonzalez, the shortstop, batting .322. David Wells will pitch tomorrow night, Jeff, at Yankee Stadium. And the Blue Jays have sent Wells to New York early, supposedly in order to rest for the start tomorrow. They may have been better off if they had Wells stay and travel with the team tonight. Fly ball right field. Salmon calling off Anderson. 2 away.
Well, you know, there are an awful lot of stories about guys going ahead, but when we talk about David Wells, he's a free spirit. But what a year he had last year. Pitched a perfect game. Loved being with the Yankees. Even looked a little like Babe Ruth with his build, you know, but he appreciated the history of the Yankees and has idolized Babe Ruth. But there are some stories that go back in the history of baseball about sending a pitcher ahead, and occasionally the team will come in about 6 in the morning, and there's that pitcher they sent ahead out there greeting them and been in the partying all night.
Pat Kelly takes ball 1. Jim Fregosi, the Blue Jays manager, told Wells, "I don't want to see you when we enter the hotel in the wee morning hours." Wells said he has a number of friends who own restaurants. He already had his reservations in order for tonight, probably watching us wherever he is. This game is on in New York.
I'll say one thing about David Wells. He's got that reputation as a free spirit, but he's also a great competitor. He'll be ready for the Yankees.
3-0 this year for the Blue Jays. And the man he was traded for, Roger Clemens, picked up the win last night, his 17th consecutive victory, tying the American League record.
Well, that'd be interesting. Wouldn't that have been something if they matched up? Of course, they missed by a couple nights, but it'll be interesting. I think Yankee Stadium will be buzzing tomorrow night.
Joe DiMaggio weekend with the special day on Sunday. 2-2 on former Yankee Pat Kelly. It will be David Wells and El Duque tomorrow night. Orlando Hernandez.
El Duque did some job for the Yankees last year, but I'll tell you what, I'm looking forward to our game on Fox in there Saturday, where we get young Roy Halladay going against Andy Pettitte. It'll be on FX.
along with Wells, Graham Lloyd, who's done an outstanding job for the Blue Jays, and Homer Bush also came over. Bush on the disabled list, injured his thumb sliding head first. Check out Lloyd's earned run average.
Oh, Lloyd really did some job for the Yankees, especially in postseason play. He was just almost unhittable.
2-2 on Kelly, 2 outs. Oh, and time was called.
Let's set a slipsies right there. Now that was a last-minute call for timeout. A hitter has the right to call timeout if they wait, but watch this. Some pitchers will do this because they do not want to. You see the veteran out there. The veteran does not want to show what pitch he had ready to throw, so he just flips it up there like that, like what the heck is coming, we don't know.
And this one comes back into the next booth. Jeff reaching out with the right hand to no avail.
You should know better. You know, you ever see these line drives go in the dugout and all the players are scattering? It's the fans that go for the ball and have fingernails and fingers broken.
And Chuck Finley in the Angels dugout got hit last year.
Oh, he got hit so many times. He got hit in the mound, line drives off him. Then he's in the dugout, got drilled.
The 2-2 from Belcher, and Kelly stays alive. Kelly with the St. Louis Cardinals last year, and he was contemplating retirement and moving overseas with his wife, who was from Australia. But when Bush was placed on the DL, the Blue Jays called, and Kelly's done a terrific job.
He's a good player. He's just been hurt so much of his career, but he was always an exceptional defensive second baseman for the Yankees. He had a couple pretty good offensive years as well. And you know, last year, early in the year, he was in the Toronto organization, and he was then acquired by St. Louis. He's a very close friend of Mark McGuire's. But when there was a need here with Homer Bush going down and then Craig Grayback went down, Pat Kelly is the kind of guy that's a very consistent defensive second baseman who can still run a little bit.
And Belcher strikes out Kelly. The throw from Todd Green. And that will do it for the Blue Jays in the second. They trail the Angels 4-1. Ball Mo Vaughn hit in the first inning. If we did not have a dome on this stadium, would still be up there.
Might have been out in the lake. Boy, what a beautiful city this is.
Sun setting on Toronto. Vaughn homered in the first. Now 1-1. As we take you back to the first inning. Home run number 231 of Vaughn's career. The first 230 came in a Boston Red Sox uniform. One away. Vaughn now 1 for 4 on the season.
Well, when a man is hot or you have some exceptional hitters, a lot of times you say in the other dugout, well, he's got to get himself out. Well, the reason he's out right now is he hit a screamer directly at the center fielder. If he had hit the ball in the alley, they never would have caught it. He is so strong and can generate such bat speed. And so can this guy.
Salmon fouled out. His first time up. The reigning American League Player of the Week. Batted .481 last week, drove in 12 runs. Two 2-0.
You know, I'm looking at Tim Salmon. He's changed a lot from what he was doing last year. Last year, when he took his stance at the plate, his hands were low. They were down below the Angels, and then he would cock the bat toward the pitcher, couldn't get to the ball up. Now look how high his hands are.
2-1.
Normally, when you see somebody with a flat bat, horizontal over his shoulder, they can get to the ball up better. Now see where his hands are. His hands are up in this area, and it's flat. He's able, and then he cocks them to this position and then goes for the ball. Last year, he had them more vertical like this, and he came up to the pitch.
2-2 on Salmon.
We talked earlier about a left-hander who had a vertical, holding the bat vertically, that he hits the ball better down. Well, when you see a right-hander who has the bat flattened out over his shoulder, you know he'll handle the ball better up.
Strike three call. Third strikeout for Henkin. 2 outs in the Angels' third.
Now this might be the best that I've seen Henkin throw to any one hitter right here. There's the curveball. There's like a little cutter. That was a fastball that was not really in a good spot, but that little cutter on slider was on the corner. And there was a sinker or an off-speed pitch he threw low and inside. None of them were straight fastballs. He's gotten killed tonight on the fastball up in the strike zone.
Troy Gloss doubled his first time up. The average up to 393. Angels with 2 runs in each of the first 2 innings. 2-run home runs off the bat of Vaughn and Erstad. Now 3-0 on Gloss. And a base hit into left field. Second hit of the night for Gloss. His league-leading 12th double in the first inning. A 2-out double and now a 2-out single in the third.
Now that's what happens when a pitcher gets behind. With Gloss way up in the count, Henkin had to come in with a fastball, and Gloss smoked it to left field. Boy, that talk about a ringing base hits. These guys that are big and strong, there's a different sound of the ball coming off their bat.
Here's Garrett Anderson, who flied to center to end the first inning. There goes the runner, Gloss, the throw. And Gloss is in with his first stolen base of the season.
I think what happened there, I don't think Darren Fletcher had a chance on this. When he got the ball off, well, that was a tremendous jump. I think they fell asleep on it. Remember, this is a great big guy. They didn't pay much attention. It looks like he maybe had 3 or 4 steps before Pat Henkin even delivered the ball. And that happens sometimes when you got 2 outs and you've got a base runner that doesn't look like your prototypical stolen base type of guy. We're talking about a 6'5", 225-pound third baseman in Gloss, but get a good jump like that. But that'll happen sometimes. That's one of the jobs of the catcher, to keep alerting his pitcher to be awake, because the pitcher is so intent on trying to get the hitter out.
And here's a drive to deep right field off the bat of Anderson, and it's off the wall. Gloss scores. A 2-out double for Anderson, and he drives in his 10th run of the season. It is now 5-1 Angels.
Now Pat Henkin is really scuffling. You can see the situation. Here's the pitch. You'll see it to Garrett Anderson. Now this is a curveball. This is a hanging breaking ball that was left up and in. That's the old-fashioned hanger. Normally you don't see that much anymore. And Garrett Anderson stayed right with it and kind of pulled his hands through and hit it off the wall. But the problem that you see with Pat Henkin right now, first of all, he's not locating his fastball well, but secondly, he doesn't have a lot of life on his fastball. He's not throwing, as our scouting report had said, 92 or 93. And what happens, Nerio Rodriguez warming up in the bullpen. I know this young fellow well. My son is his agent. This was a catcher we had with the White Sox, converted to pitcher. He's got a terrific arm, but Pat Henkin is just out of sync, and I'm not so sure he doesn't have his arm strength back.
Here's Todd Green, who singled and scored in the second inning. Green, we mentioned earlier, was suspended 3 games, but it is under appeal, so he is eligible to play. The Angels did not want to lose Green with Vaughn not at 100%. Vaughn returning tonight, but just in case he re-injured the ankle or would not be able to go, the Angels decided to wait and appeal the Green suspension. Seattle rookie pitcher Brent Hinchcliffe also suspended 3 games. In fact, Tim Belcher, the Angel starter tonight, who was not on the mound in that game, was also ejected on Sunday. He claims he was on the bottom of the pile looking for his shoe.
He's a hard nose. He comes to play, and you got to defend your teammates.
Belcher was ejected from that game, not suspended. Sean Green on the run, makes the catch to retire the side, but not before the Angels put another run on the board. Loss singled, stole second, and scored on the Garrett Anderson double. 5-1 Angels.
Sure was. I was a teammate of his, or he was a teammate of mine, however you look at it, into the '71 season when that trade was made for Nolan Ryan.
He was selected by the Angels in the 1960 expansion draft, and when he left the Angels, he held the team records in games, at bats, runs, hits, and of course the big deal, December of 1971, he was a 6-time American League All-Star. Managed the Angels for 4 years, 1978 through 81. Took over during spring training for the departed Tim Johnson, as Shannon Stewart grounds out to the shortstop, Jeff Husett. Well, the Jays trailing 5-1 tonight. Check out the numbers during their 7-game win streak.
Well, the thing you see there is balance. Home runs, stolen bases. You're talking about two different types of game. They're able to do both. Their pitching has been outstanding. When you hold the opposition to a .213 batting average, you got a chance to win a lot of games, and obviously they have. They've won all of them.
Jose Cruz Jr. steps to the plate. Sacrifice bunt in the first inning, which moved Stewart down to third. Stewart then came in to score the Blue Jays' only run. Cruz turned 25 on Monday, the son of the former Astro great. Jose Cruz, Jeff, the 3rd overall pick in the first round back in 1995. He leads the American League with 19 walks. The first pick that year was Darren Erstad.
Well, he was a terrific player. That's Jose Jr. at Rice University, and of course went up to Seattle and started off like a house of fire, and then was traded when Seattle was looking for pitching. They needed bullpen help, and they got Spoljaric and Timlin from the Blue Jays, and Cruz came this way.
And there is walk number 20. So Cruz heads down to first. Next week on Baseball Thursday, some of you will see the surprising Pirates take on the Atlanta Braves. Others, this same matchup out west, the Blue Jays and the Angels. Check local listings for the matchup in your area. Jeff, you and I will head down to Turner Field in Atlanta to watch these guys play.
They're talking about all these young stars coming up and making their marks.
Sean Green fouls it back, 1 out. Cruz the runner on at first.
And you're talking about a young star. Sean Green really hit stardom last year, a 30-30 man. And see what he's doing right now. It'll be interesting to see right now. Tim Belcher, the veteran, doesn't want to walk a hitter, especially not with the 3rd and 4th place hitters coming up. We'll see how he pitches Green. He's got to be careful.
And this one will fall in. Green 2 for 2. And the Blue Jays have 2 men on with only 1 away.
You know, it's amazing when you we were talking about being careful with a home run hitter. Now here's the pitch. Tim Belcher wants to run this in on his hands, and he does. He breaks the bat. But Sean Green, watch where it goes now. It'll go right in off the hands. It'll almost hit right on his hands. Look where it hits on the bat. So close to his hands. That's why the bat broke. But the ball went just a little ways out of Velarde's reach, right behind second base. That's what you call scientific hitting. Actually, that was a heck of a pitch, but Sean Green was strong enough to get it out of what they call his kitchen.
First and second for Carlos Delgado. Good stop by the catcher, Todd Green. We have 3 Greens in the game today, Jeff. Willie and Sean on the Blue Jays side, and there is Todd. like Willie, with an E on the end of his name. Sean without the E, the traditional spelling of green.
Some symbolism here. The ball players see a lot of green nowadays.
Yes, especially here on this field. You, of course, referring to the wallets.
Well, we were talking too about how many good young players have come into the game. When you think about Delgado, he had been a catcher. Now he's only 26 years of age. Last year he missed a month of the season at 38 home runs, had 115 RBIs, had been a catcher originally in the system, and we came up as a catcher and then had to go back down because they felt that he would be better as a hitter if he didn't have to worry about his catching. Well, he is some slugger now.
Ground ball to the right side. Erstad will take it to first as both runners advance. Cruz down to third and Green over to second.
Now, one of the things that we've been talking about and harping on tonight about is changing speed. And that's what Tim Belcher just did. He had the big power hitting Delgado at the plate, so he threw him an off speed like a split finger down and away from him. But now is when you cannot relax. With 2 outs, a base hit here will score 2. So Tim Belcher's got to be very careful because Tony Fernandez is a very smart hitter. Doesn't overswing, just puts the ball in play, as we said, with that soft touch on his bat. Taking another look at his hands now. People say, well, I don't know why you're looking at that. So you'll take a look at some big strong guys almost squeeze the sawdust out of the bat. Tony just lays it in his hands, and this way his hands are much quicker and he doesn't have to commit very early.
Good news, bad news situation for Fernandez back in the first. He extended his hitting streak to 9 games. It was the 2,100th hit of his career, but he was thrown out trying to extend down to second base.
Great shot of the hands relaxed on that bat. For many years when I was a young player, I had a tendency to choke the top of the bat because I really wanted to get going. I didn't want to break the bat. I wanted to get the head of the bat out, and it slowed me down. And the great hitters like Ernie Banks used to wiggle his top hand. Well, Tony just lays it in there, which is amazing. And what happens is they've proven it that by relaxing your hands on the bat speed is much better. That's a nice play by Todd Green. He just saved a run. There's one of those things you don't see in the box scores. Doesn't go, you know, normally when you get a base hit, when drives in a run, there's an RBI behind your name. Well, for the catcher, you never see saved a run, and this is a nice play. Look at this. Stays in front of it, looks it down, and then loses it. But he looked it down into his glove. He blocked it off and saved a run.
And former catchers will always point it out.
Well, it's such a big part of the game that a lot of people just take it for granted. It is a very tough thing to do for a catcher. You look when you give signs when there's a runner at third or in scoring position, and when you've given the sign, you think down. You want to make sure you are down to block the ball, especially with that runner at third.
3-1 on Fernandez. 2 outs, 2 on. Strike called. 3-2.
Now with an open base, I don't think they're going to give him a whole lot to hit. As we mentioned, he's been with Toronto 3 different times and been very effective every time here. Tremendous shortstop when he first came up.
Belcher misses, so Fernandez heads down to first. Second walk of the inning, and the bases are loaded.
Kenny, I think that's what you call a tactical walk there. That's one they were not going to give Tony Fernandez a shot of shooting the ball down the left field line and driving these runs in. Now they got a new count. They'll try to get Willie Green, who's got more holes in his swing. Willie Green, as we showed earlier, though, has good power, especially on the ball down in the zone. He had a home run last night on a low breaking ball.
Bases full of Blue Jays. 2 outs in the third. Ball 1.
Boy, what a helpless feeling is this, sitting in the dugout as the manager. You know, you want so badly to keep the lead. Your club has lost 4 in a row, and he knows he's in trouble here.
1-1 on Green.
That was only 83 miles an hour. I don't know if whether either this gun that we're seeing is slow or either these pitchers don't have real good fastballs, or maybe that was a split finger that he threw exceptionally hard. I'm not sure which.
Now 2-1.
Now you can see the guile of a veteran pitcher now. He's going to try to stay away from the fastball if he can and try to get him, Willie Green that is, to chase something off speed unless he throws a fastball in his hands.
Well outside, 3-1. Nowhere to put Willie Green. Bases loaded. Cruz down at third. Sean Green on at second. Fernandez, the runner, on first. 2 outs. Angels leading at 5-1.
Well, there's a veteran pitcher with a young catcher, and they want to make sure they get this straight. A lot of times pitchers, especially veteran pitchers, don't shake yes or no, especially with the runners on base. They'll just keep looking. If they don't like the sign, they keep looking and want the catcher to give another one. So sometimes you go through every pitch the pitcher has and you think, well, what else does he want? He really wants to go back to another pitch in there. But when you're in a count like this, a hitter's count, one of the things you try to do is try to make a good pitch down and away from the hitter.
The 3-1. And it is a foul ball, says first base umpire Al Clark.
Now that surprised me just a little bit there because they set up inside. One of the problems you have when you set up inside is you normally teach pitchers if you're going to go in and you miss, you're going to miss farther in. Well, a lot of times you'll take the pitch in there and then you walk. That would walk the runner in. But see where they went? They went inside on this. And the ball just went foul. Al Clark, the umpire at first base, calling it. Now the veteran pitcher Belcher is the type of pitcher who will not give in, meaning he will not throw a straight fastball here. He'll throw a split finger or a changeup or something away.
Belcher delivers, and Green got a piece of it.
That shows how much I know. He went with a high fastball up and in. I think that was ball 4, easily said from up here, but
Belcher delivers. Strike 3 called on the inside corner with the bases loaded. Belcher strikes out Green. Third strikeout for Belcher, and the Blue Jays strand 3 in the third. To end the Blue Jays' third. Line drive left field, and the catch is made by Shannon Stewart. One away.
Now, Kenny, you're talking about a veteran pitcher, and he's sitting there with his young catcher in the dugout. But he did some pitching to get out of that mess he was just in. And of course, now he knows how to pitch. He was a young power pitcher when he first came up with Oakland and the Dodgers. But he's had to rely on his cunning now, and he pitched to Willie Green to get out of that mess almost backwards.
And now Jeff Houston grounds out to the second baseman Kelly. So quickly 2 away in the Angels' fourth. Angels with 2 in the first. The Vaughn homer, 2 in the second. Erstad a 2-run shot. And a 2-out RBI double by Garrett Anderson in the third inning. 5-1 Angels lead. Here's Erstad, who broke out of a 1-for-18 slump with that second inning homer, his first of the year. And he takes strike 1. Here it is, second inning. Erstad to deep right. Scoring Todd Green. That gave the Angels a 4-1 lead. It is now 5-1. 2 outs in the fourth. Following the game tonight, Angels move out to Kansas City to play 3 as they conclude this 6-game road trip.
Oh, we were talking about Darren Erstad, and you talk about a young hitter who uses the whole field and is very aggressive. We talk about him crushing a fastball. Obviously, that lasted back. He hit a ball that was high enough that a ball player will say he tomahawked the ball. When the ball is up in the strike zone or above the strike zone and they hit a ball like that, they'll say they bring the head of the bat kind of over like a tomahawk chop. And that's what he did on that high fastball. And boy, he crushed it.
And he crushes this one down the right field line. Second consecutive extra base hit for Erstad. I was about to ask you, Jeff, are you sure FB meant fastball and not football? He was a punter and a place kicker at the University of Nebraska.
Well, he's that talented an athlete. Boy, he can do it all. He can fly. He's one of the future stars in this game. He had some injuries last year, but watch, we're talking about how he hits the fastball. There's a fastball in the middle of the plate, and man, look at this, what you might call a level swing. It's not necessarily level, but it looks like it coming through the zone.
So with 2 outs and Erstad on at second, here's Orlando Palmeiro. Palmeiro 0 for 1 with a walk and a run scored. Two 2-0 on Palmeiro. The double by Erstad, Jeff, the 7th Angels hit of the game. Only 2 have been singles. 3 doubles, 2 home runs off Henkin. And the bat goes flying into the Angels dugout.
You know, you see that, a bat flying like that, and a lot of times you'll say, well, how the heck could the bat come out of the guy's hand when he's wearing batting gloves and he's got pine tar in the batting gloves? Occasionally, when you go to swing, one finger of the glove will catch under the other hand, and you can't close your hand and the bat flies out. But you can see when you watch somebody's hands and you see that hands loose and you see the pine tar. Now when he goes to hit, that ball was inside. He tried to bring his hands in, and I bet they hooked up.
The shortstop Gonzalez fires across, and that will do it for the Angels in the fourth. They lead the Blue Jays 5-1 at the new Air Canada Center. The Maple Leafs and the Philadelphia Flyers, and of course here at the SkyDome, the Blue Jays and the Angels. Bottom of the order for the Jays: Fletcher, Gonzalez, and Kelly. Fletcher single to right in the second inning. Belcher worked out of the bases loaded jam in the third by striking out Willie Green. When you talk to players and managers about Belcher, the first word that comes to mind: intensity.
He's been very effective here too. I think in his career he's 5-0 in this ballpark. I remember his coming in relief in the playoffs in '93 for the White Sox and shutting the Blue Jays down, even though they ended up beating the White Sox. Belcher's been a big-time pitcher.
He led the Royals in wins each of the last 3 years. 14 and 14 a year ago. Salmon in right makes the catch, 1 away in the Blue Jays' fourth. Well, Jeff, nobody tells it like it is quite like Jim Rome does. Shooting straight from the lip, taking no prisoners. Nobody does it better. Catch Jim Rome on The Last Word tonight on Fox Sports Net with special guest, former Blue Jay Jose Canseco. Check local listings. Last year for the Blue Jays, Canseco hit 46 home runs as Gonzalez flies out to the right fielder Salmon. 2 out.
Just sitting up here looking from this perspective in this beautiful ballpark. Remember when this opened, this place was packed every night, and since the glory years, the early 90s of the Blue Jays, they started to lose and slip in attendance. But if this club continues to play the way it's played the early part of this year and finished up last year, they're going to be coming back to this place. Beautiful stadium, beautiful city.
They won 88 games a year ago, their first winning season since '93. They had the best record in the American League over the last 50 games. You see the two World Series championship banners from '92 and '93. As you mentioned, the Blue Jays beat Jim Fregosi in '93 as Kelly drives this one to left. It's out of here. Home run number 2 on the season for the number 9 hitter of the Blue Jays lineup, Pat Kelly.
We talked before about Henkin having given up a lot of home runs last year, and the same is true of Belcher. When you have the kind of pitcher that he is, you're going to see a lot of home runs because he's not afraid to throw the ball in the middle of the plate, especially when he's got 2 outs. Here's the pitch to Pat Kelly, right in the middle of the plate. Belcher gave up 37 home runs last year for Kansas City.
Most in the American League.
That's a lot. But do you remember there's a Hall of Famer named Robin Roberts? When he gave up the home runs, there was nobody on.
As was the case with Kelly here in the 4th. 0-2 on Stewart. Lifted into right. Salmon lunging to make the catch. And that retires the side for the Blue Jays in the 4th, but they add a run. The second homer of the season off the bat of Pat Kelly. Some aerobics in right field. Cutting the Angels' lead to 5-2. And a new pitcher for the Blue Jays as Pat Henkin, the 1996 Cy Young Award winner, lasts only 4 innings. 26-year-old right-hander Nerio Rodriguez, who came over from the Orioles last year in exchange for Juan Guzman. Rodriguez will make his 1999 Major League debut. He started 2 games for AAA Syracuse, and he was recalled 6 days ago by the Blue Jays.
Well, he didn't have a good year last year because he was traded, of course, as was mentioned, for Guzman. He's got terrific fastball. He's got an exploding fastball, 93, 95 miles an hour, and a good slider. His problem has been he hasn't had a good off-speed pitch. And especially facing a guy like Mo Vaughn, you better be able to locate your fastball, but also get him out with off-speed stuff.
Welcome back to the majors, Nerio. You must face Mo here in the Angels' 5th inning. Mo Vaughn, a 2-run homer in the 1st, fly to center in the 3rd. Here's Kelly. 1 away. Vaughn now 1 for 3. Jeff, our trivia question tonight brought to you by Sherwin-Williams. Name the current Blue Jays who played on their World Series teams in 1992 and 1993. We'll have that answer for you shortly. We'll give you some time to think about it. There's Tim Salmon, and he takes a strike from Rodriguez. Salmon 0 for 2. Fouled out in the 1st, caught looking in the 3rd. Salmon tied for the league lead with 23 base hits. Came in 6th in batting average at .404. He's never been selected to the All-Star game, but I have a feeling that might change very shortly.
I think so. This guy is a star. He has been a star for a number of years, but he's very quiet. He doesn't seek the limelight, but he just keeps on producing. He really did something last year. He played with a very bad foot. A lot of people felt he should not have played. He played for his team and did it exceptionally well. .300 last year with 26 home runs, 88 RBIs, and all that on a very, very tender foot. He had a problem on the bottom of his foot, very painful.
He drove in 129 runs 2 years ago. Salmon among the league leaders this year in many offensive categories.
Play on the fish, smoking salmon.
Tom Thomas using his time wisely. Come up with the catchy headlines on the graphics. Salmon goes down for the second time tonight.
Well, this was an explosive fastball, and Ariel Rodriguez threw this right up under his hands. And you'll notice that he throws from a little bit of a low arm angle, and the ball kind of chases Tim Salmon back in. That's a 91-mile-an-hour gun. So I guess the gun's all right. It's just that we haven't seen a lot of real good fastballs prior to that last one.
2 outs. Here's Troy Gloss, who's 2 for 2. Doubled in the first, singled, and scored in the third. The line on Pat Henkin tonight: 4 innings, allowed 5 runs on 7 hits. He struck out 3, walked 1, and allowed 2 home runs in the first 2 innings. In Henkin's 4 starts this year, he's lasted 6, 4 1/3, 6, and now 4 innings tonight.
They have to be a little concerned about Pat because he's a tremendous competitor, but he doesn't look like he's popping the ball, like maybe something's wrong with his arm.
2-2 on Gloss.
You can notice most pitchers, you're talking about veteran pitchers who know how to pitch. Pat Henkin is not, and you're looking at Tim Belcher now. Pat Henkin is no longer in the game and just was not very sharp. He got tattooed on a fastball up in the strike zone. You know, I'm watching young Ariel Rodriguez throw. Remember, he's a converted catcher. He was a catcher in the White Sox organization, but he doesn't throw like a converted catcher. Because most catchers, when you see him throw, bring the ball up behind, kind of short arm behind their ear. Ariel is what you might call a slinger. He throws the ball from a low arm angle down around shoulder level, and the ball just tails back in on right-handers. Watch where his arm angle goes when he goes to the plate.
Bounce foul back behind third base, so the count remains 3-2 on Gloss.
And we'll take a look at it from the behind the catcher. You can watch the low arm angle.
Low and away, ball 4. So Gloss heads down to first with 2 outs in the Angels' 5th.
I didn't mean low location of the pitch. I meant low arm angle, but he was trying to throw the ball low and away to Troy Gloss, but he overcompensated. But his arm angle will be down in here, in this direction, not high, not up here.
One on Garrett Anderson, who doubled in a run in the 3rd inning. Anderson 1 for 2. Angels have had at least 1 base runner now in every inning. They have 5 runs on 7 hits. The Blue Jays 2 runs on 6 base hits. 1-1 on Anderson.
Without belaboring the point about the arm angle, when you throw from this angle, you're going in, you're a right-handed pitcher, you're going to have action away from a left-hander into a right-hander, and that's what Ariel Rodriguez has. Now, also from that low arm angle, depending on how you grip the ball, you can make the ball cut in on a left-hander, and that's the pitch they got Mo Vaughn out on to lead the inning off. Jammed him with a ball that he grounded out to second base.
Gloss bluffed down towards second, and Anderson takes strike 2.
That was a high changeup. That was a pitch that, fortunately, it was not a good pitch for a hitter to swing at, or you would say there was a good hanger. But that's what young Nerio Rodriguez has to work on, is his off-speed stuff. And you can see the grip that he has behind his back. He's grabbed it like a changeup, and then he changed it in his glove for another pitch.
The 1-2 from Rodriguez. In the air to deep left center. Stewart and Cruz both heading back. It's out of here. Home run. Garrett Anderson, the third homer of the game for the Angels. And they now lead the Blue Jays 7-2.
Garrett Anderson hit this ball a long way the other way. You think of Garrett Anderson, yeah, he's got home run pop in his bat, but not so much the other way, and yet he's got enough to hit it that way. We'll take a look at the pitch. The pitch is up. They're trying to get it down and away, and it's straight and up out over the plate. And you can watch Rodriguez. He knows as soon as he delivers it, it's gone. See how it's up?
As was the case with Henkin back in the third inning. Rodriguez retired the first two Angels here in the fifth, and then ran into trouble. He walked Gloss, and Anderson takes Rodriguez deep. The Angels' third home run tonight. Green pops this one up right field. Sean Green makes the catch to retire Todd Green, but more damage as Garrett Anderson hits his third of the year. 7-2 Angels over the Jays. Where the Blue Jays, who have won 7 consecutive games, trail the Angels 7-2. Cruz, Sean Green, and Delgado for Toronto here in the fifth. As this one is over the outstretched glove of Salmon. Bounces over the wall for a ground rule double. First hit of the game for Cruz.
Well, this ball really surprised Salmon, but we'll go back to the home run against Garrett Anderson. You can take a look right there. That's the grip. That's a changeup grip Nerio Rodriguez starts off with. Now he changes the grip in his glove. But the problem might be not so much the grip, but his hand kind of falls out in this ball. In other words, he doesn't stay on top of the ball, and you'll see the ball, see how it flattens out across the plate. And that's why Garrett Anderson was able to drive it out of the park. And between innings, when Nerio Rodriguez went in the dugout, he talked to pitching coach Mel Queen, and Mel looked at him and said, yeah, your hand got alongside the ball a little bit. Now the ball that Jose Cruz Jr. just hit, a line drive to right field, really surprised Salmon. It took off. Tim Salmon didn't move back. Oh, this, so nobody going to get this one.
Sean Green, the deep right field into the upper deck. They're flying out of here tonight, Jeff. Woo.
I'll tell you what, the only question about that ball was whether it was going to be fair. But that was into the upper deck. He really crushed this ball.
Home run number 5 for Sean Green. He hit 35 a year ago.
Now here's Tim Belcher in the open stance, and it is right, I don't want to say wheelhouse, but I guess obviously it must have been to go that far. Here's the shot. What a pretty swing. Does not release, and you can see the height of it, and that's why it's into the upper deck.
2 of the last 4 Blue Jay batters have homered.
And the one in between was a screaming line drive from Jose Cruz that was hit so hard that Tim Salmon, the right fielder, didn't realize that the ball was going to take off like it did, and it went over his head. They were really hit hard.
So it is now 7-4 Angels. 9 of the 11 runs in the game tonight have come via the long ball. Carlos Delgado 0 for 2. 1-1.
Well, we went into this game knowing that both starting pitchers give up a lot of home runs. Boy, we've seen some.
5 in 5 innings. Bounce to the right side. Nice play by Erstad. And the toss to Belcher. 1 away. Delgado now 0 for 3. Up to the plate steps Tony Fernandez. 1 for 1 with a walk. Fernandez extended his hitting streak to 9 games. Back in the first. Five home runs in the game. Kelly and Green. Sean Green for the Blue Jays. Vaughn, Erstad, and Anderson for the Angels. And we are told Green is the second player to hit a home run into the right field upper deck. Carlos Delgado was the first.
Well, that is a shot to get it up in that. You have really got to get it up in the air to begin with, and that was close to the foul line. Normally you get under a ball like that, it hooks and it go foul. There's a ball in the dirt off the shin guards, but it shows you something about young Todd Green, that he stayed down on the ball with no runners on base. But look how high up that area is.
Up the middle, base hit for Fernandez, his second of the game.
Now, we talked about Tony Fernandez, and he has been a Blue Jay on 3 different occasions where the World Championship Ball Club came up through the organization, won 4 Gold Gloves as a sensational shortstop. He is one of the ingredients on this club, one of the quiet leaders.
Here's Willie Green, who has struck out twice, including once with the bases loaded in the third. Anderson calls off Palmeiro and makes the catch. 2 away in the Blue Jay fifth.
You know, very often when you're talking before the game with managers and players, and we were asking on occasion, how important is chemistry on a ball club? And I asked Davey Johnson that last week. He said it's everything. And this Blue Jay ball club has nice chemistry, and Tony Fernandez is a guy that brings that for Jim Fregosi. A veteran player can really help a manager.
Darren Fletcher 1 for 2, and he takes ball 1 with 2 outs, and Fernandez the runner on first.
Tony Fernandez was playing for me. I was managing the Mets, and Tony was playing, and I was watching him one day in Candlestick Park. I thought he was going to faint. It turned out he had kidney stones. He didn't tell anybody. He was trying to play through it. That's the kind of guy he is.
Two 2-0 on Fletcher. 2 men out. 2 runs in, the 2-run homer off the bat of Sean Green. And this one will hit deep right field. 7 back. It's gone. And the Blue Jays have pulled to within 1.
That open stance. Here comes the pitch right in the middle of the plate. What a beautiful swing. Look at the intensity and the concentration. There's the swing. You see the catcher trying to reach out. He'd love to have that ball back, and you can see the veteran Tim Belcher knows that baby's gone, that he didn't make the pitch that he wanted.
Belcher was sailing along, but 3 of the last 8 Blue Jay batters have homered. Enter Al Levine. And Jim Fregosi's club with 4 runs Here in the fifth, 2 home runs. First Green and then Fletcher. 30-year-old right-hander Al Levine is the new Angels pitcher in relief of Tim Belcher, who worked 4 2/3, allowing 6 runs on 10 hits, including 3 home runs. Both clubs with 3 homers in the first 5 innings. Alex Gonzalez 0 for 2 tonight. 2-1.
Well, we thought going into this game it might be a high-scoring game. You had 2 ball clubs that have been swinging the bat well, and you had 2 pitchers who have given up a lot of home runs over the last couple of years.
Backhanded by Houston, fires across. He got him. What a throw by Houston. But the Blue Jays score 4 on 4 hits in the fifth. It is now 7-6 Angels. Andy Velarde fouls the first pitch back.
Henkin, Fernandez, and Wells.
Henkin, the only current Blue Jay who played on both championship clubs. Wells earned another ring last year with the Yankees.
Well, how about the way both Fernandez and Wells came back? You know, that says something about the organization, and also says something about the guys. For the organization to want 2 of their former players back. If you remember, Wells left here having been released.
Outside, and 1-2 the count now in Velarde. Strikeout number 2 for Rodriguez.
Now, we talked about Nerio Rodriguez having a lot of hard stuff, and what he's got to do to be a good pitcher is come up with a changeup. And here's the changeup. Watch this thing. The bottom fell out of it. That's almost like a circle change. You see Randy Velarde, who normally stays on the ball and hits a lot to right field, was fooled by the arm action.
Here's Jeff Houston, who made the outstanding throw to end the Jays' fifth. Houston 0 for 2 at the plate.
We talked earlier about, you see a lot of pitchers who set up the changeup, the split finger, whatever their off-speed pitch is in their hand.
Ground ball to the second baseman Kelly. 2 away. Jeff, it's more FX Baseball Saturday as these Toronto Blue Jays visit the world champs, the New York Yankees, an American League Eastern Division battle. FX Baseball Saturday at 1:30 Eastern, 10:30 a.m. Pacific on FX. Special start time for the Yankees and the Blue Jays. The scheduled pitching matchup: Andy Pettitte and the outstanding rookie Roy Doc Halladay.
Yep, I'm looking forward to that one.
He has earned the nickname Doc here in Toronto. Came within 1 out of a no-hitter last September and has not allowed an earned run this year. He's 2-0. Erstad 2 for 3 with a home run and a double. Andy Pettitte threw 6 scoreless innings in his initial start of the year. Coming off the DL in Detroit. Pettitte expected to start on Saturday. Foul back 2-2 with 2 outs in the top of the 6th inning.
Well, I watched this Blue Jay ball club come out of the dugout today. They've got a basketball team. That Halladay is 6'6". Chris Carpenter 6'6". Graham Lloyd 6'7". Plesac 6'5".
And you're only talking about the pitching staff.
I know it.
Inside, full count on Erstad.
Now that was a 93-mile-an-hour fastball. And for a while we were talking about, we thought maybe our gun was stuck because all the fastballs we were seeing were in the mid-80s. Well, Nerio Rodriguez has come in and thrown hard, made one mistake. Garrett Anderson, he hit it out of the ballpark, but he's throwing hard.
Erstad breaking out of a 1-for-18 slump with a 2-run homer in the second and a double to right in the fourth inning. Second inning of relief for Nerio Rodriguez, and he walks
from Belcher when they called timeout, and that one Nerio Rodriguez just let it fly.
Rodriguez quickly over to first.
Well, this is the time you might see Erstad run, because if he does get thrown out, you got a hitter at the plate who's like a leadoff hitter for the next inning. Terry Collins might send Erstad.
Hard grounder, Kelly to Gonzalez, and that will do it for the Angels in the sixth. Blue Jays with 3 homers in the span of 8 batters. First Kelly in the fourth off Belcher, then Sean Green in the fifth. Green into the upper deck in right field, and then Darren Fletcher would send Belcher to the showers. Al Levine in relief of Belcher. 2-1 on Kelly. Both teams with 3 home runs tonight. Blue Jays have homered now in 11 consecutive games. Kelly to deep center field. Anderson is back, and Kelly has his second of the game. We are tied at 7. The 4th Blue Jay home run. And perhaps his good friend Mark McGuire taught Kelly a few tricks last year.
Yeah, I guess also that ball is really jumping here tonight. That ball was hit the left center field with the roof closed here. I've always heard that the ball carried more here with the roof closed, but I'm beginning to really believe it now. Not that Kelly doesn't have the strength. He's always been a hitter who could pop a mistake pitch out of the ballpark. Here's Levine's pitch, and watch, it was a high fastball. Boom. I'll tell you what, that went a long way to left center field.
Oh, a nice play by Gloss at third, and he throws out Stewart. Pat Kelly came into the game today with 31 major league home runs in 650 games. He hit 4 last year at 53 games with St. Louis. His major league best is 7 in one season. As we take another look at the play by Gloss down at third base, Jose Cruz steps to the plate. He's 1 for 1 with a walk and a sacrifice bunt. Kelly's breakout season as far as home runs are concerned, last year with AAA Syracuse, he hit 17. He had never hit more than 8 in a season anywhere, minors or majors. But last year, 17 with Syracuse in 80 games, and then 4 with the St. Louis Cardinals.
That was one of the few years he's been healthy recently. And of course, third base coach for the Blue Jays was his manager last year, Terry Bevington, former White Sox manager. And I'm sure he had some input too when they brought Pat Kelly back to the organization. There's Terry, who, of course, there are a couple ex-White Sox managers in this ballpark tonight. Jim Fregosi being another one.
And another one to my right. As Cruz grounds out to the second baseman Velarde. So at least 3 former White Sox managers in the ballpark. Bevington, Fregosi, Torborg. Terry Collins is not a former White Sox manager, but he is a former Astros manager. And that will be all for Al Levine. He leaves with the score tied at 7. Scott Schoenweiss will be the new.
He said no, he really wasn't. Jim's been around the game a long time, and boy, as a manager in this game, you got to let a lot roll off your back and not stay wounded.
2 outs here in the 6th. Sean Green facing 26-year-old left-hander Mike Holtz in his 4th major league season out of Clemson University. He has not allowed an earned run in 5 games this year for the Angels.
Well, you can see what Terry Collins is trying to do, trying to go left against left. And that's the old equalizer right there. Boy, that's what you call a slurve. That's that big downer that breaks off away to a left-hander. And after the ball, they watched Terry Collins, saw that ball hit it in the upper deck with unbelievable hang time here by Sean before. He decides he's going with a left-hander. He's not going to take a chance, or hopefully not take a chance in his mind. But what can really make a left-handed pitcher so effective to a left-handed hitter is that he's able to get his breaking ball over away from the left-handed hitter. I would venture to say 0-2. He either try to miss farther away with a fastball or throw this big breaking ball out of way, and they're going back in.
Bounce to the right side. Erstad takes it himself to end the Blue Jays' 6th. But Toronto has tied it on Pat Kelly's 2nd homer of the game.
This guy, of course, you were just talking about Holtz on the other side coming out of Clemson. Plesac went to North Carolina State and became an outstanding closer from Milwaukee. But he really gives you some left-handed, so-called left-handed weapons against good left-handed hitters. Look at Mo Vaughn and Delgado. You're talking about 2 big guys who can crush the ball. And Mo, of course, jumped on the first pitch he saw tonight and drove that thing to almost dead center field. And Jim Fragosi's not taking any chances. He's going to try to go with a left-hander to nullify Mo just a little bit. I've seen Mo Vaughn hit a lot of balls off of left-handers out the other way.
Vaughn was the first batter Mario Rodriguez faced after he replaced Henkin. And now Plesac comes in to face Vaughn. Vaughn 1 for 3 with the 2-run homer in the 1st inning, the first of 7 home runs in the game so far. Pat Kelly of the Blue Jays with his first ever 2-home run game.
You know, you look at Mo Vaughn and look how his eyes are on an angle. You don't see many hitters who are successful doing that, especially young hitters, because they have trouble with a breaking ball. If you just turn your head to the side, you can see how tough it is to see a ball correctly because your head is on an angle. Most hitters try to get their eyes on the same level. Well, he bends over, obviously not bothering him any. But when he first came up, he was a dead low ball hitter. Now he handles the ball up and down with power to all fields. He likes the hard stuff. He'll chase bad off-speed stuff in the dirt. We just saw him chase a bad breaking ball in the dirt away from him.
The 1-2 from Plesac, and he strikes out Vaughn.
Dan Plesac really humped up. He threw this ball hard right up through the strike zone. You can see it's right at the hands, but out over the plate.
So with 1 away, here's Tim Salmon. Salmon 0 for 3. He struck out his last 2 times at bat. And this time he flies out to the right field warning track. Salmon now 0 for 4.
So we talked about how Dan Plesac was brought in to face Mo Vaughn. Here's the first pitch. It's a breaking ball low and away. Goes back out there again, and Mo was guessing fastball. So that's 1-1. Now they ran a fastball in on him. He fouled it off and then threw the ball by him on the outer half of the plate. So remember, Mo Vaughn just coming back. Hit the first pitch he saw tonight off of Pat Henkin out of the ballpark. But Plesac pitch, he planted the seed. They planted the seed of the breaking ball away from him, and that made the fastball that much more effective.
Troy Glaus 2 for 2 with a walk, 2 runs scored, and a stolen base. Two outs, top of the 7th. Blue Jays have battled back from a 7-2 deficit. They have tied the score at 7. Glaus among the American League leaders in 5 offensive categories. Smash foul down the left field line. 2-1.
Now, we talked about how big Gloss is. He's 6'5", 225-pounder. He's a young kid. He's just out of UCLA, and last year struggled just a little bit coming up to the big leagues. But he comes so highly rated. He's only 22 years of age. But I watched him last year and saw him hit the ball the other way. And most good young hitters who are capable when they come to the big leagues of hitting the ball the other way have a chance to be a good hitter down the road, because you can teach him to pull the ball. What's so great for him is this good, fast start he's getting will build his confidence.
Batting average now at .404. Foul back, 2-2. We've talked about many of the injuries the Angels have suffered through over this first month. Even with Vaughn coming off the DL today, they have 8 players on the disabled list, including Jim Edmonds, Gary DiSarcina. In fact, Jim Fregosi said that club's had hard luck since they signed me back in 1960.
Oh, they have had. They've had some sad things. That tragically lost a pitcher. I can't think of his name. That they still give an award in the Angel organization. He had a brain tumor, but you can see right behind Jim Fregosi's head, you see the monitor. And that used to be what you always had on to see who was warming up the bullpen, because originally when this was first built, the walls were solid. The bullpen was behind there. You couldn't see anybody warming up.
In the dirt, full count on Gloss. In fact, you were telling the story earlier. You managed in the last ever game at Exhibition Stadium before SkyDome opened.
Yeah, one game too many. George Bell won the game in the 9th inning with a home run off of Bobby Thigpen. I would have liked to have had the place closed the day before when we won.
Did he go around? Yes. 1-2-3 inning for Plesac as we head to the bottom of the 7th with the score tied at 7. Let's take a look at what's coming your way tonight on Fox Sports News. And for that, we take you to the Fox Network. And Willie Green. Delgado will lead things off here in the 7th against Mike Holtz, who faced one batter in the 6th, and retired Sean Green to end the inning. The top of the 7th with Plesac on the Blue Jay mound, the first 1-2-3 half inning of the game tonight. Off speed pitch misses, 2-0 on Delgado.
You can see what Terry Collins did when he brought in Holtz. He wanted him to face the middle of the order, which is all left-handed. Obviously, Tony Fernandez is a switch hitter in the middle of it.
Nice play by Erstad, and he will take it himself to retire Delgado. It's the 3rd consecutive time Delgado has grounded out for the first baseman, Erstad.
He got lucky on that one. That's a nice play by Erstad. That ball was hit real hard. When you get a good hitter like Delgado up in the count 2-0, it really worries you as a manager, because your left-hander is now just missed with a couple pitches. Now he's got to come in with a pitch that you don't want him to have to come in with. Delgado hit a bullet, and Erstad made a nice play. That shows the kind of ability that Erstad has, too. He plays first, he plays the outfield, and he plays them well.
Here's Tony Fernandez, 2 singles and a walk tonight. Takes strike 1. He's hit it to left field. 3rd hit of the game for Fernandez. Next week on Baseball Thursday, some of you will say the Pirates and the Braves, others the same 2 teams, the Blue Jays and the Angels from Edison Field in Anaheim. Check local listings for the matchup in your area. And you and I, Jeff, will be in Atlanta. And if this theme continues for a 3rd consecutive week, it will be 7-7 in the 7th. Last week, Tim McCarver and I had the Yankees-Orioles game. Roger Clemens, Mike Messina, 7-7 in the 7th. Orioles won the game 9-7. 7-7 in the 7th here tonight in Toronto.
Well, it's the first time I've seen it. The games that I've had in recent weeks have been very well pitched games without a lot of runs scored.
Well, the odd thing about last week's game, Messina left having allowed 7 runs, only 1 earned. A double error as Willie Green takes strike 1. A rare double error committed by Cal Ripken. Extended an inning. Yankees wound up scoring 5 runs in that inning with 2 outs following the double error.
So tough to play with a bad back, and you know that man was such a not only an iron horse playing, but he was also a tremendous defensive player, and you just don't play this game without feeling right. You see Holtz throw off. I was just thinking Mike Holtz has one of the biggest breaking balls that I've seen. And he's not a real big guy.
5'9".
When you got a little pitcher, a lot of times you say, well, they don't have the same type of leverage off the mound, but Tom Gordon has that great downer curveball, and he's not very big. He's less than 6 feet. But Holtz has an exceptional breaking ball. Willie Green just saw a great big slurve.
Two and 1 on Willie Green with 1 out, and Fernandez the runner on at first.
You know, when you take a look at how you put a ball club together and you try to build a bullpen, you like to have that balance right and left out there, and that's what Holtz gives Terry Collins, a good left-hander coming out to nullify the left-handed lineup if he gets his pitches over.
3 and 1.
And you look on the other side of the field, and with Graham Lloyd coming to the Blue Jays, you put Lloyd and Plesac out in that bullpen. You really got some balance, and managers love that balance. And there's, of course, Terry Collins. I talked to him before the game. I said, how are you doing? He said, not very well. Obviously, they lost 4 in a row, but they are so banged up. That is tough.
Foul down the right field line, so a full count on Green.
DeSarcina, their anchor in their defense at shortstop, got hurt the first day of spring training working out.
He was hit by a fungo bat swung by Coach George Hendrick. Talk about bad luck.
Oh, no. Of course, it looks like Edmonds is out for the year, so you lost a shortstop and a center fielder.
Our game summary sponsored by Fram. 4 Blue Jay home runs. Pat Kelly with 2. Mo Vaughn with one of the Angels' 3 homers. Angels led 7-4. It is now 7-7. Mo Vaughn making his return tonight from the DL. He was injured. Chasing a foul pop-up. Fell into the Indians' dugout on opening day. Fernandez on the move. And that is ball 4. So Green heads down to first. 2 Blue Jay base runners. Time now for another Fox Sportsnet game break in Minnesota. Metrodome, top of the 2nd inning, no score. Rafael Palmeiro at the plate against Eric Milton. And Palmeiro with a drive to center field, his 3rd homer of the season. Rangers lead 2-0 now in the top of the 5th over the Twins. Holtz in some trouble right here. 1 out, 2 men on. Fernandez down at second. Green the runner on at first. Darren Fletcher the batter homered in the 5th off Tim Belcher, the Angels starter.
One of the things the Angels have to be very careful of here, especially the battery, is Tony Fernandez at second base is such a veteran and knows the signs so well, having been an infielder watching him all the time. If he is able to pick up the signs or the location, he could relay them to the hitter by just a little motion of looking back toward the base or looking ahead to the next base.
Holtz falling behind 2-0.
Maury Wills, the great Dodger shortstop, was able to do that. He'd get off at first base, peer in and see the sign, and he'd cover the number on his uniform and relay to the hitter that he had the sign. All he had to do was, if it were a fastball, look ahead to second. If it were a breaking ball, look back to first base. Now, some guys will give different types of signs, but they can help the hitter at times. In fact, for that play to happen the way it just did, where they faked, Jeff Houston faked back, I think Tony Fernandez was really staring in, focusing on the signs. You can see Todd Green looking up the hitter to make sure the hitter's not looking down, but he better have an idea. See Tony looking.
Ground ball to the right side. Erstad, high throw. He gets the out at second.
Well, this is a nice play at second base by Jeff Houston to go up and catch the throw and then still come down on the base. That was very close. The throw having pulled him off, possibly pulling him off. Here's the play. Here's Darren Fletcher hitting the ball to Erstad. Erstad now makes the play, but the throw takes off. Look at Houston go up and get it and just get down in time to make the force play.
And that will be all for Holtz. Former Cardinal Mark Petkazik will be the new Angels pitcher in 5 appearances.
Always like what this guy can do. He's with St. Louis in recent years, and he's a real workhorse. He was 7-4 last year. He was in 48 games. He can start, he can relieve. Been around. He was a star at the University of Texas.
And he faces Alex Gonzalez, who takes strike one. Gonzalez 0 for 3. Fletcher, the runner on first for the Blue Jays. Fernandez down at third. Foul down the left field line. 0-2.
When you see a situation like that, you're looking at Alex Gonzalez, who has an open stance. That means his left foot is closer to third base than it is to the plate. They just ran a fastball in on him. He hit a bullet to left field. Well, now they most likely will go away. Now you can see the stance. The left foot is open away from the plate. But now the catcher's got to watch the ball being wild away.
Gonzalez lunged for it. 3 Angels converge, and the catch is made by the center fielder, Anderson. 2 runners stranded, 7 innings complete in Toronto, and we are tied at 7. And the Devil Rays lead that game 1-0. Saunders, the former Cleveland Indian, went to the Devil Rays in the expansion draft last year. Charles Johnson grounded out, first out in the 8th, and we hope to take you there in the 9th inning. Garrett Anderson homered his last time up.
Kenny, the thing you worry about in no-hitter like that, I've been fortunate enough to be in some of those. You worry about a 1-0 game. If you start worrying about the no-hitter, the next thing you know, give up a base hit, you might lose the game. But I can tell you, quite frankly, those last few outs, especially that last one, are the toughest one to get.
We are told Rich Amaral flied out to center field. So now 2 outs in the Orioles' 8th. Tony Saunders, who grew up an Oriole fan in Baltimore, Maryland. Third base umpire takes the seat. Says strike 3. 3rd strikeout for Plesac. Tomorrow on Fox Sports Net, it's more great PGA Tour action as we bring you live 2nd round coverage of the Greater Greensboro Chrysler Classic. 2nd round coverage continues tomorrow at 4 Eastern, 1 Pacific on Fox Sports Net. Check local listings. Jesper Parnevik is the 1st round leader at 7 under par. Well, a terrific job by Dan Plesac, who retired all 4 Angels he faced. Mike Bordick has broken up the no-hitter of Tony Saunders with 2 outs in the 8th, and will return to Toronto in a moment. Here in the 8th, you spoke earlier about the size of the Blue Jay pitching staff. Davey at 6'7".
I didn't even mention him.
Intimidating presence on the mound. Fly ball right field. Sean Green 2 away in the Angels' 8th. As we went to break, we mentioned Mike Bordick as the Orioles' first hit of their game tonight in Tampa Bay with 2 outs in the top of the 8th. Breaking up the no-hitter on a 1-2 pitch from Tony Saunders, and now Saunders will try and hold on for the win.
Because he had to worry about, because I know Albert Bell's coming along there somewhere.
Here's Randy Velarde, 0 for 3 tonight. Boy, the Orioles struggling coming into tonight's play, 3-11, last place in the East. Tampa Bay off to a good start, 9-7. Inside to Velarde, 1-1. 28,212 here to watch the game tonight from the SkyDome in Toronto. 1-2.
All right, Kenny, I'll tell you what, we've talked about before earlier in the game, the two starters were not popping that radar gun. The guys since have. This Tom Davey, this great big kid, throws hard. That last one was 93 miles an hour.
Up the middle. Snatched by Davey. The throw to Delgado. 7.5 complete in Toronto. Tied at 7. Pat Kelly has homered his last 2 at-bats. Solo shots in the 4th and the 6th. His first career 2 home run game. He now has 33 lifetime homers in 9 major league seasons. Kelly, Stewart, and Cruz for the Blue Jays here in the 8th, tied at 7. Angels led 7-2. Blue Jays scored 4 in the bottom of the 5th, 1 more in the bottom of the 6th inning. 1-2 on Kelly, facing his teammate last year with the Cardinals, Martin Petkazik.
You often wonder, does that help a player, especially a guy, an infielder who's played behind him or a catcher? But it's all different look from standing alongside the plate. I used to say it was almost like I was in a different ballpark. Squatting behind the plate as opposed to walking up alongside it, completely different. So I'm not so sure it would help.
Here's the 2-2. Into shallow left center, and it falls in. Drops in front of Garrett Anderson, so Kelly wins this battle with Petkazik. A leadoff single in the 8th. His 3rd consecutive hit. Back in the 4th off Tim Belcher. His 2nd of the year. And then leading off the 6th against Al Levine. So the Blue Jays have the leadoff man on in the 8th inning, as they will try and manufacture a run. Blue Jays have never led in the game tonight. Stewart 1 for 4. Robbed by the 3rd baseman Bloss, his last time up in the 6th.
Excuse me, Kenny, you really called this about trying to manufacture. Terry Bevington giving the sign. Shannon Stewart can fly. In this situation with a runner at first, you want to bunt the ball to the first baseline. You don't want to bunt it to 3rd because the 3rd baseman will be coming down the line. You're flying right down here trying to defend it. They'll try to bunt the ball, push it up the first baseline.
And Stewart does his job. Kelly over to 2nd. Time now for another Fox Sportsnet game break. We've told you about it. Top of the 8th. Tony Saunders with a no-hitter through 7 and 2/3, and Mike Bordick singles up the middle. The first Orioles hit of the game. They trail the Devil Rays 1-0 in the 8th. One out in the bottom of the 8th here in Toronto. Jose Cruz Jr. comes to the plate with Kelly down at 2nd. He represents the go-ahead run. Cruz doubled and scored in the 5th. He's 1 for 2.
I like Cruz a little bit better as a left-handed hitter, and his 2 home runs this year were left-handed. And of course his daddy was a left-handed hitter, and boy, a fine one. As you mentioned him earlier, with great career with Houston, started out with the Cardinals. So this kid has a nice approach from the left side. He does something that a lot of hitters were doing a couple years ago, and that's lift their front leg. A lot of hitting coaches don't like that because it says it takes an awful special amount of timing in order to lift that leg. But what hitters like to do by lifting that leg, it pushes their weight back to their back foot.
Bounce to the right side, foul. 1-1. Looking ahead to the Angels in the ninth. Scheduled up, Houston, the number 9 hitter. And in the top of the order, Erstad, Palmeiro. And if somebody gets on, move on. 7-7 the score. 1 out, bottom of the 8th. 7 home runs in the game. 4 off Blue Jay bats. High and away, 2-1 on Cruz.
When you look at a young switch hitter, as Cruz is, one of the things you try to do if you're the team pitching to him is keep him off balance, because it's tough to learn from both sides of the plate. But most switch hitters have more trouble with off-speed pitches. It's one of the reasons they became switch hitters.
The 2-1 from Petkazik inside, 3-1.
We're just watching Todd Green, the young catcher who has been converted from an infielder to a catcher over the last few years. He waits till the very last minute after giving the sign before he gets into his catching position. That's so he doesn't give pitches away. But I would like to see him, you know, if I were a pitcher, I'd like to see him get set up a little earlier to help me out on location.
Full count, 3-2 on Cruz.
There are different philosophies on that. A lot of people, especially scouts, say, I don't like to see the catcher move too early because he'll give the pitch away. But by the same token, you can set up in a spot as a catcher. If the pitcher hits it, whether the hitter knows it or not, he might not hit it. But he's trying not to give his pitches away by moving too early, by showing location. And you can see when he gives his signs, he gives either by the index finger or the little finger the location.
Ball 4, so Cruz heads down to first. Now the Blue Jays have 2 runners on with only 1 out.
Well, we'll look at the pitch sequence, and one of the things you have to keep in mind in a game like this, there's an open base, so they're pitching carefully. There's a sinker ball down and away, number 1. Another one away. Another one away. They're staying away. Now, I didn't mean to throw that there. You can see the catcher move on the outside, and he threw on the inside. They're trying to stay away and make Jose Cruz, and that was another sinker in the dirt. They were trying to make him chase the ball away.
Petkazik exits. Scott Schoenweiss.
I like his stuff. And again, here we're talking about balance in the bullpen. He's a left-hander. And the 2 managers are really playing left-hand against left-handed, the old platoon game.
Sean Green, 3 hits tonight. He's driven in 3 runs. Had a 2-run homer in the 5th. And he takes strike 1 from Schoenweiss. 2 men on. Kelly down at second. And Cruz, the runner, on at first. 7-7 the score, bottom of the 8th inning. Oh, 0-2 on Sean Green.
Now there's what we talked about. If you bring a left-handed pitcher in, you want him to face left-handed hitters with a good break and stuff. And you better be able to get the ball where you want it with Sean Green, because we just saw him hit an unbelievable shot. He likes the ball down preferably. He's got excellent power from the middle in.
Bounced foul. So the count remains 0-2.
What he's got is not only just power, but he's got speed to beat the stuff out that might be chopping in the infield. This guy has become some hitter.
One and 2.
You know, when I was managing, one of the things that would bother me is if I bring a left-hander in to face a left-handed hitter and he get behind the count, he has to come in and throw a fastball. Or if they made a mistake right in the beginning and they would throw a fastball, I say, listen, I could have left the right-hander in to do that. So really what you need your left-hander to do is be able to get his breaking stuff over.
2-2 on Green.
And this is what you see very often, but those are good pitches. You see the left-hander make a nasty pitch and the hitter take it. But Schoenweiss has gotten ahead in the count. Now it's 2-2. Now we'll see how he goes. He's still got a cushion. He's got at least one cushion pitch that he could throw another breaking ball low and away here. But he, whoa, that was a fastball. Nice play by Todd Green. That's why I don't like to see a guy wait till the last minute, because all of a sudden you have behind the plate because you got a jab for the ball instead of being set up out there. But I know why he's doing it, and I know why they taught him to do it. When he gets a little more comfortable back there, he'll set up a little bit sooner to help his pitcher and also help himself.
1 out, 2 on, full count. Foul down the right field line.
Now, watching the signs, you could see Todd Green finished up giving him 3 and then gave him the index finger away, and then they hung a slider. And that's what you get concerned about when the count gets full, that your pitcher will just try to make sure it gets me over one, and that one that gets you over, especially a slider or a slow curveball, is the kind that gets really mashed because it's off speed, almost batting practice speed.
Now Green steps out. 7-7 the score. Runners on first and second, 1 out. Bottom of the 8th inning. Strike 3 call. Green was on his way down to first, and Rick Reed calls him out.
I don't know, I'm a long way away, but that looked like a perfect pitch. He fooled him. He threw that fastball right on the outside corner. Very difficult to tell if it missed. It just missed. I think what happened, the velocity surprised him. He was looking for something off speed out there, and he surprised him with a fastball.
Now Carlos Delgado steps in, 0 for 4. Bounced out to the first baseman Erstad his last 3 times up. And now Todd Green out to chat with Schoenweiss.
Not a bad idea to go out to the mound for a catcher right here, because you've had a runner standing at second base for a long time who might be able to figure out what's going on, and it's Pat Kelly, who's a middle infielder who really knows signs. So they changed the signs. You can see the 2 infielders. Randy Velarde went in to find out what they were doing. They changed their set of signs. Randy Velarde then went back out and told Jeff Houston, because the middle infielders play off the signs that the pitcher and catchers use. But they were concerned. There's Randy Velarde at second base. They were concerned.
Delgado takes ball 2.
That's one of the many things the catcher has to be aware of. He's got to watch the runner. Dick Cole, the pitching coach, is going out to talk to Schoenweiss, but the catcher has to watch the runner to make sure that runner's not so intent on his signs and giving them away. So if he sees anything strange, he'll go out and change them. Now you got a situation where you are in a hitter's count. 2 balls, no strikes, and this is a guy that usually does not miss the pitch he's looking for when he's up in the count. Look at these numbers. The number in 1998 at 38 home runs and 115 RBIs is very impressive, because you got to remember this guy missed a month of the season and then still put those numbers up. Well, he's looking fastball right now. He's not looking for anything else. He's looking for a fastball from the middle in.
Fouled off the plate, 2-1.
And he got it, but it was a little too far in for him. Did you see what he said? You could read his lips. He turned to the umpire. Was that a good pitch? And the umpires always say afterwards, especially if the guy asks if it was a good pitch early in the count, and then they strike him out later and he's arguing on the pitch. He said, well, you didn't know what the other one was either.
Delgado holds up, and the count is now 3 balls, 1 strike.
Okay, if you're Carlos Delgado now, 3-1, 2 outs. He's looking fastball. He will take the off-speed pitches and look for fastball right here. And that's what he got. He got a fastball right in the middle of the plate and foul tipped it back into the glove.
Two on, 2 out, full count. Tied at 7. Schoenweiss against Delgado.
I like that. You see what he's doing? He's shaking his head no. You like to have, if you're a catcher, sometimes you shake your head no to make your pitcher shake no, because what he's trying to do is plant the seed in the hitter's mind. Hey, this is a fastball count. I'm shaking to another pitch. So now he doesn't know what the heck you're throwing.
Ball 4, so the Blue Jays have loaded the bases. The chess match continues. Troy Percival will become the 6th Angels pitcher tonight. Bases loaded, 2 out. Bottom of the 8th, Troy Percival with 42 saves a year ago is the new Angels pitcher.
Well, you talk about a dominating pitcher. This great big guy is a dominator, but you better have confidence in a guy that you bring out of the bullpen to come in with the bases loaded, because it narrows his cushion. But he can really throw hard, and he's got that closer mentality.
Tony Fernandez, Jeff, 3 for 3 tonight. This season with the bases loaded, he is 2 for 2 with 5 runs batted in.
He's a tough out, and he's also selective. Now, he might try to jump the first fastball he sees from Percival, but Tony also will take close pitches. He'll make a pitcher work deep into the count. It all depends on whether he feels comfortable against Percival. Remember, Percival can get that fastball up there in the mid to high 90s.
Bases loaded. Now back 0-1.
He didn't mean to do that.
Kelly down at third base. Cruz on at second. Delgado, the runner, on first. Fastball inside, 1-1.
I'll tell you what, normally guys go up to the plate when you got a guy like Percival throw so hard that you know you got to pull the trigger early. You got to get going early. Tony, as we've talked all evening about his soft hands in the bat, does not worry about getting a big swing. He just tries to lay the bat on the ball. He could shoot the ball the other way easily.
Fouls it back, 1-2.
We had a glance into the Angel dugout. Larry Boa, who positions the infielders, and Terry Collins were waving frantically to get their infielders back on the left side. They don't want Gloss to be up close. As Tony Fernandez, when he gets behind in the count against a hard thrower, will just flip the ball into left field the other way.
Blue Jays left the bases loaded in the third when Willie Green struck out. Inside, 2-2.
Well, let me tell you something. The heart is pounding for your catcher, Todd Green, when you got a guy who can throw this hard with a game on the line, the runner at third base. You're just hoping you catch the ball here, because when it's thrown that hard, you know, they can throw the ball right by you, especially if he bounces it.
You know the feeling.
Oh, boy. You know, I used to catch Nolan Ryan, and he had a pitch where he'd choke it so much, occasionally with a runner at third. He'd throw so hard it was like a dry spitter, meaning the bottom fell out of it. Well, when the bottom fell out of the ball, the bottom fell out of your heart. But you also look out here and you see the Angel defense is very shallow in center field and left field. They think Tony is going to flip the ball the other way. You can see the defense. The right fielder is playing honest, but left and center is short.
Full count. Nowhere to put Fernandez.
Now, what makes Tony Fernandez so tough in a situation like this is that he doesn't overswing. He just tries to make contact.
Inside, ball 4. The Blue Jays have taken the lead on the bases loaded walk. Kelly crosses the plate with the go-ahead run, and the Blue Jays have their first lead of the game.
I was saying earlier that you hate to see a hitter like Tony Fernandez come up in a situation like that because he doesn't overcommit. And by the same token, on the other side of the field, you got to have confidence in the pitcher you bring in.
And now Willie Green with the bases loaded grounds out to the shortstop Houston. So Green ends an inning with the bases loaded for the second time. But the Blue Jays have gone on top as we head to the ninth.
95-97, Tony Fernandez fouls 2 off, doesn't overcommit, and forces a walk. And the Blue Jays go ahead.
So the Blue Jays with a 1-run lead. Graham Lloyd, as you take a look at Fernandez, Graham Lloyd is the 5th Blue Jays pitcher. One of the 3 players acquired from the New York Yankees in the Roger Clemens deal. Lloyd off to an outstanding start. He's allowed only 1 earned run in 8 2/3 innings with the Jays. Andy Sheets is the pinch hitter batting for Houston. Sheets came over late in spring training from the Padres. He's batting .278 with 1 home run. 7 homers in the game tonight. 4 by the Blue Jays, 2 for Pat Kelly, his first career 2-home run game. 2-1 on Sheets. Darren Erstad is next, then Orlando Palmeiro. Three and 1. You see the numbers. Blue Jays when leading after 8. Perfect. 10-0 this year, looking to extend their winning streak to 8 games. And they trailed early 7-2. Strike called. 3-2.
Well, we've talked all evening about the bullpen that the Blue Jays have developed. You've got veterans like Lloyd, who are specialty pitchers, most effective against left-handers. He and Dan Plesac. They brought some hard-throwing right-handed kids in between.
Fouled off the catcher Fletcher.
Of course, Graham Lloyd, originally with Milwaukee, went over the Yankees and was outstanding for the Yankees in postseason, 2 sets of postseasons. 6'7". He's very, very difficult for a left-hander to pick up. Well, now he's in a situation 3-2. It's, as a manager, you keep sitting in the dugout. If you're the team that's defensively on the field, you're saying, oh man, make him hit his way on. Here's Jim Fregosi thinking about it. No walks here, no leadoff walks. Make him hit his way on.
The 3-2. And Sheets stays alive, fouls it back behind first base.
Now there's Tony Fernandez playing on the line. Very often late in the game you play the line to keep the extra bases down.
Fly ball center field. Jose Cruz Jr. one away in the top of the ninth. Coming up tonight, following the game on Fox Sports News, no hitter in Tampa Bay. We know the answer. Scottie Pippen in trouble. And the Steve Sachs Fox Scope. Plus the Stanley Cup playoffs continue. A collective groan, Jeff, here in the SkyDome moments ago as the final score was announced. The Maple Leafs losing game 1 to the Philadelphia Flyers 3-0 at the Air Canada Center here in Toronto. Darren Erstad takes ball 1. Erstad 2 for 3 with a 2-run homer in the second inning. The executive producers of Fox Sports Net are Arthur Smith and Bill Borson. The coordinating producer for Baseball Thursday is Larry Myers as Erstad hits this one in the air to right center. And the catch is made by Sean Green. 2 away. And the Angels are down to their final out. 1 out away from being swept in this 3-game series. Tremendous job by our entire crew. Producer Tom Hewitt, director Dave Hagan, Mitch Rubenstein, Tom Thomas, Gary Nicholas, The head of field operations is Andrea Jenkins. And the pinch hitter for the Angels, it is not Orlando Palmeiro, but it is Matt Walbeck. Batting for Palmeiro. 0-1. Six-run comeback by the Blue Jays. They trailed 7-2. They lead 8-7. Fans on their feet. One strike away from 8 consecutive wins. There it is. Will Lloyd with a 1-2-3 ninth. And the Blue Jays pick up their Major League leading 12th victory of the season. They've won 8 in a row, 10 of their last 11, as they head to New York for a huge series with the Yankees.
Well, they got a big one coming, but they just went through a pretty good ball club here. And of course, Mo tried to rally his bunch, but I'll tell you what's impressed me so much is that their bullpen, I'm talking about the Blue Jays, really was effective. They've got some hard-throwing kids. This is a good-looking ball club, this Toronto Blue Jay.
Come from behind, 8-7 victory tonight here at the SkyDome. This Saturday on FX Baseball Saturday, it's the Blue Jays and the Yankees, 1:30 Eastern on FX. Baseball Thursday continues next week here on Fox Sports Net. The Pirates and the Braves and the Blue Jays and the Angels. Check local listings. Coming up next, Fox Sports News, prime time. For Jeff Torborg and our entire crew, Kenny Albert saying so long from Toronto.